Hey guys, this is Dylan. I just wanted to do a real quick tutorial. It's going to be pretty dirty, but I just want to show you guys a new method for making hair textures that I'm playing with. So we've already got a finished hair model here, and I want to export the UV map as a solid black and white alpha. So I'm removing all of the edges, and I'm setting the color to white, and setting it to solid, so that we get just a black and white alpha map. I'm going to save that out as alpha. And then open up ZBrush. And to start, I just want to find the plane 3D asset and convert that to a polymesh 3D, just so that we can have a surface to work on, essentially, is what we're doing here. And I'm going to go import the alpha texture that we just baked out, and that's going to be sort of like a visual reference. So we're going to look at where the planes are on the UV space, and we're only going to paint our hair within those islands there. So I'm going to use this single hair brush. This was something I downloaded from ZBrushCentral.com. I'll include a link to that brush along with a reference to the artist who created it, but I'm going to modify it a little bit here. So as you can see, it's a straight hair. We don't really want it to just be a straight line, so I'm going to uncheck as line, and then we're going to go into the fall off and adjust the size of the brush based on this curve. And so I want this to have a real harsh uptick and then a slow gradual downward slope, so that we get a little root and a general fall off to the size. So it should look something like that. We're going to adjust the size, and you want to make sure that dynamic is on so that you can move and zoom out and it'll stay the same size. And just playing with the size a little bit more. So now that we have the brush set up the way we want it, we can draw on the plane and create little hair strips. And to start out, I'm just going to draw a couple guides, and then from there I'm going to fill in the rest of the hair. Don't mind the strange coloring, that's just the texture. But once I've laid down the basic guides, I think I'm just going to speed up the video here and show you what the final result looks like once I'm done. So one of the reasons I like this method is because you can lay down a strip of lines and it will lay over the top of the lines you've already put there. Sometimes it can be helpful to drag on the end and pull it down a bit, just to sort of straighten it out and give it a nicer curve. So now that I've got a alright set of lines laid down, I can divide these if I want them to be a bit smoother. You can use the inflate brush to give a bit more body in areas or close up holes, or you can smooth them also to make them thinner. And I'd want to just go through and generally kind of clean up some stuff, fill out some areas. We can also use the move brush to, like in some of these parts where the roots are poking out, I want to kind of tuck those in behind the other strands. And sometimes, you know, they penetrate through each other. I can even move up some strands to start it at the top of the hair there, and in a couple places where things might have gotten out of control or I don't like the curve of the hair, I can kind of bring that back in to control. And just, you know, clean them up a bit. So once that's looking alright, you can go into BPR. Make sure you set smooth normals to on and hit the render button. And that'll give us a nice smooth render of the hair strands that we've got. Then we can use these passes as maps for our textures. So I'm going to put the depth in there, and the mask, that actually needs to be isolated from the background so that the mask turns out right. But yeah, and then I'm going to open these up in Photoshop and just copy the mask into the diffuse. That's just for rendering them in Marmoset. And you can take a few liberties here, but it might be interesting to play with the depth map that you got and the render, and just overlay them so in a way that gives you a little bit of definition for each of the strands and a nicer look, because it bothers me sometimes when I see hair that like has an alpha texture on it that has a bunch of strands going in a specific direction, but the texture doesn't match up with those strands at all. It's like this just tiled picture of hair or something like that. So this is just a nice way to connect those and give it a cleaner look. I'm just going to save that out as my diffuse. And then I think I want to use the depth map to generate a normal map in NDO. I'm just trying to find a setting that works for capturing the larger forms and not being way too noisy, but still not looking super blurry. I think that's probably too blurry and soft, so I'm going to bring it down a bit. Yeah, that'll work. So yeah, I guess I have to say that as a PNG because I think it's like 16-bit or something. But yeah, so here's the result. It's cleaner, and it looks, you know, like you can see the individual strands of hair. I think if I had more time, I might put multiple layers of feathered looking kind of hair underneath it so that you get more coverage of the full card, but overall I'm pretty happy with that. So that's just a breakdown of the method I'm sure if you guys use it, you can make way cooler stuff than I could, so give it a try.